immediately says Lego. He's ready.
Lego. I think they're ready, and so are we. Welcome. First game to Towers of Doom. Now, Jake, this battleground has really grown on me over the past few months.
Oh, yeah.
When it first came out, I was kind of opposed to it. It was a very big departure from normal Heroes of the Storm battlegrounds. You can't go for the core. But this map forces you to address the skill of your opponent from both a team fighting standpoint and the ability to establish macro play. We've seen so many nuanced approaches to taking down the bottom keep at the right time, when to soak, when to get a tier advantage. You get it all on this battleground, and you really cannot get around your opponent. You have to go through them, and I really like that.
It's such a beautiful map, and it creates some of the most epic late game situations in the world. But at the same time, when you manage to defeat an opponent like a 40-0 or a 36-0, that's equally as impressive, because it's like, holy crap, they actually played this so beautifully and dominated their opponents that effectively. And it creates some really, really nice narratives. Now, do you know, I honestly did not confirm what side they were on. Do you happen to remember that?
Oh, I believe Hold It Down was on the right.
You know what? I think they were too, so I'm going to swoopity swap this.
Yeah, because FC Ignition was on the left.
Nice.
Now, one thing that's really interesting about this matchup, Jake, is that both of these teams actually feature a sub.
Yes. We have Kevin in for Crowan, who marked his calendar inappropriately, or incorrectly rather, not inappropriately. And on the side of Imported, who do they have?
Toby.
Oh,
exactly.
Spicy.
Is that not hype? Battle of the Ebros in one of the biggest quarterfinal matchups you can imagine in Bloodlust.
The Ebros esports.
That's North American drama for you, right?
Dude, that's good. That's some good stuff right there. Uther and Ariel are the bans, so support control is there. Now, we've seen a lot of teams actually go for early Tassadar. Tassadar is a great hero on this map. He does give you the ability to stall out effectively and still provide so many options for the Illidan, the Tracer, the Vaultla, whatever, however you want to play it. But you're still giving up things like Genji or that Anubarak or Dahaka. So a lot of good options here.
It's really interesting. Like, you know, I've talked about this quite a bit this week as far as how open the meta is. I think in the right situation, pretty much every hero can do work, but there are a large number of just like lead singers, just frontliners, people that they step out on the stage, they're out front, and everyone else supports them. And those are heroes like the Uther, like Ariel, like Genji. Ooh. And these days, like Stitches.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely surprised at all to see Stitches be so heavily prioritized. He's looking to serve it up.
Dude, Stitches wins games. Like, we've seen so much good Stitches play lately, and it makes me really excited because hooks are just, by definition, exciting.
Right.
They make or break a team. If you're not getting the value on the hook, you're not really contributing that effectively for your team. You're providing subpar peel, and you don't have really great crowd control without that hook. You're really reliant on body blocks and things like Gorge or Putrid Bile. But I do like that as the first pick here for the side to Hold It Down. And who was? I believe it was the guys at Donkeys R Us that recently played Cho'Gall versus, I think it was Hold It Down. And they got countered with a Stitches using Gorge against them. Not the common like Greymane Curse bullet, just Gorge and drop them behind the wall.
It's really effective. And it's also cool to see a counter to Cho'Gall, because we've seen a few instances over the past week or so where Cho'Gall has seen something of a rise in the North American scene. So you often find yourself in a situation like, how do we deal with this Cho'Gall? Stitches could very well be the answer. But like you said, I really like this Stitches first pick for Hold It Down. It's a note of confidence.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Stitches is one of those heroes that bring what I would call a mental CC, where if you're landing hooks and you're having a huge impact and you're isolating people and getting those takedowns, it inspires a defensive posture out of the rest of the opponent, the enemy team, for the rest of the game. Like, you do not want to get caught out of position.
No, you don't.
Just end up playing more timidly, and you bring that much more added value to your team. So I like that they went that route.
The Tass and a noob is just such a solid foundation, leaving open Genji and Dahaka. And those are kind of the four that we mentioned right out of the gates as, like, when you look at the support lock, that Tassadar is really valuable. But then Genji, Dahaka is so good on the map. A global is locked in. Genji is half a global, basically, with the mobility he provides for the
Right.
team. Rotations are so fast, and his ability to stall the altars is really, really useful. However, when we look at the support situation, like now we're at a prime spot for something like a Rhaegar ban here, and that will leave quite limited opportunities for support when it comes to hold it down.
Absolutely. We could very well see a Rhaegar ban here, and then Brightwing gets selected, something like that, and really put the screws to hold it down.
Ooh.
But something we can't overlook, Jake. Arthalon's Genji, that player's ability to establish micro and make plays on that hero is next level. Some of the best you'll see in this region, if not the world. Like, I've just seen him navigate damage and manage his abilities in such a way as like, how?
He's so effective and so much damage. They go for the Brightwing ban, and that's probably because they're going to take Rhaegar themselves. But I want to be a little critical of this because, like, I get the Brightwing ban because the global. I actually was thinking about it a little bit further as you were discussing just Arthalon and Genji, and BBJ really likes Malfurion, and already Dahaka and Stitches with Malfurion is going to be fine, I feel. So. Yep. I don't know if I actually think that Brightwing ban was super effective. Like, in the event they were looking to run Illidan, sure, that's like a good counter for it. Illidan has been banned, however, just, you know, sniffing that out. But I think they're going to be fine in the support situation with BBJ and Malf if that's what ends up happening with Rhaegar being picked up here for imported.
Well, it's really interesting that you bring that up because Stitches Malfurion is one of the best synergies in the game when you consider isolating somebody with a hook. Like, I like to call that combination being called to the carpet. Like, you hook them right onto the Malfurion route and they're just there. The Brightwing ban is really curious to me as well. I theorized potentially imported support taking Brightwing. I think Brightwing's really strong against Genji. With Uther already being banned out, that's one of the best immediate CC interrupts to what Genji does best. So to take that option away from yourself, you have to have a really strong card up your sleeve.
And they're going Malthael and Malfurion. And I totally dig this. I think actually giving up Malf was problematic, even though it's not Malf what it used to be. It's just, it's BBJ's best hero still, in my opinion. And you just mentioned the harmony that exists with Stitches and Dahaka, admittedly. Malthael and Malfurion also we've seen quite consistently in some of these matchups. If you, like, the middle of a fight, you throw out that Twilight Dream, you open up the gates for Malthael to just dive in with those Tormented Souls and then torment the hell out of the enemy team, just shredding and ripping and tearing them apart. And it has been, I was not expecting this.
To be honest, though, same. Rhaegar is going to get picked up. One of the last real supports that are competitively viable, in my opinion, still available. Maybe only Karazim, and then Tracer shows up.
Yeah. So the Tracer was always going to be a threat, just because Tassadar. They want a hero that's really going to be valuable, the Tassadar. And I guess Tracer's their response to Chromie, but it was a very quick pickup, however.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an immediate snap decision. And it's one of the cool things that you afford yourself when you take Tassadar early in a draft, but you don't show that immediate synergy because heroes like Valo are still out there. You still have different options for those synergies. And it really worked out for imported support because they do see the Chromie at the end of the draft, and they're like, all right, well, we can have Tracer dive in, drop the bomb, recall out. It's going to be really difficult for Chromie to consistently land damage on Tracer. So we could see Tracer have a pretty solid game today.
Yo, we're getting the Mac and Genji, and Arth is going to be on Chromie. So that's a mix-up. And then we got the E-Kevin on Dahaka, the rivalry, E-Kevin versus Itobi.
I don't think I've ever seen these guys play against one another, so this is going to be spicy in and of itself. First game of the Bloodlust Open playoffs, man. We get the NA drama of the E-Bros going at it, two of the best teams in the amateur scene right now. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, man, it's an intense weekend of Heroes Esports, I feel. A lot of big matches happening, both here on the amateur side of things, and then, of course, in the Nishishi Pro League. Of course, if you can't watch both and you're tuning into the VOD right now, thank you for tuning in and checking out these teams, because they definitely deserve your attention, as they are very much teams to watch in North America. On the blue-hand side, Haloran, let's introduce them.
We have the members of Imported Support. FZ Ignition is going to be playing in Nubrak. Draded is on Tassadar. Special T is playing Tracer. Swabs Magoo's on Malthael. And Itobi subbing in is playing Malthael.
Their opponents in the red, the new hot shots of the amateur scene. Kevin subbing in for Crowan on the Dahaka. We've got McIntyre there on Genji. Arthalon on Chromie. Ishbu, the tank, playing the Stitches. And then BBJ, their support player, on the Rhaegar. These guys, you know, they're not as dominant as most people have expected just because of all the rising talent in the amateur scene right now.
It's been really interesting. I think it's in part that the overall level of competition has obviously risen from phase 1 to phase 2, but I also feel like they're not playing to their full potential. We see a lot of role swaps and just kind of like awkward shenanigans where they're just like early diving and YOLOing. So I'm not sure if we've yet to see their proverbial final form, but they're going to need to bring that out to the fold if they want to try to make it through this series.
Ignition going for the Rhaegar. The roots connect there from Malfurion. And BBJ is trying to get out of there. Nice body blocks from McIntyre to make sure he survives. And Arthalon's now trying to get some return damage thrown their way. But BBJ has to be careful. That was a very close gank. And Ignition getting another double burrow stun.
I was just about to say, FC Ignition got some interesting and fortunate timing on that Nerubian armor to get out of there from Arthalon's burst. But he dove back in. These teams are ready to go full ham. I'm excited for that.
It's an interesting approach to see that, you know, just that much aggression right out of the gates and their willingness to just look for that quick gank because they want that mental advantage. And as I was mentioning earlier, some of these players are literally stating in the lobby, they just woke up. So your reflexes may not be tip-top shape that early, and you can force mistakes throwing someone off balance. It's a really nice kind of attempt to force that. But good hold there on the side to hold it down, who literally held it down. BBJ needs to be careful. Pulse Bomb does go in. Wow, pretty much doing nothing.
Did it do damage? Like, that almost looked like a bug. Like, it went off, and he must just immediately queued himself.
I guess so, like, as it hit.
I just did not see any real notable damage happen out of that. If I'm a specialty, it has to feel a little bad.
Hashtag
First altar phase will be here in about 20 seconds. This will be a triple altar affair, as the first and fifth always are these days. Both of these teams should have their level 4 talent, so could get a lot of insight to how the rest of this game is going to go out of this next little progression.
Well, we have to remember that the global advantage is very much in favor of Hold It Down because Genji is, in a way, a global with that fast rotation. He's actually already there to stall Malthael. So that's going to, again, allow him to rotate very quickly, but he needs to start moving now as they're being pressured back. Arthalon holding on to that tribute with those channels, trying to get another Kyo onto Itobi. Oh, just a little bit shy, and Ishbu is very, very low. Pulling in the Tracer, 30 HP, still living, but the rotation of the Dahaka is down here.
The ultimate bait. Ishbu's drawing in the attention of imported support to the very last moment before able to get out of there. Bought time for takedowns, 2, in fact. In favor of Hold It Down. Special T's going to drop as well. Don't think you're getting away so fast. 3-0.
This team is mobile. You've got the Rhaegar to chase you. The Feral Lunch can close some gaps. The Tracer was able, or the Genji was able to get the dismount, and they just threw that lightning bond in there, or the lightning shield in there to try to help that out. In the end, it still was 2 altars in favor of imported. However, you know, they had this advantage with the globals where they tried to make it happen, and Arthalon was just like a millimeter shy with his Q from interrupting the channel there of Malfurion onto the bottom altar. So good attempt, but imported won that round.
Yeah, like I theorize we might see some insight to the rest of the game, and if things continue to go at that pace, Hold It Down has to feel pretty good about the proceedings. There is a hook on specialty, no real follow-up. Arthalon looking for the long-range artillery fire. The drag just misses from Kevin.
Yeah.
Snapper camp gets stolen away.
And that's a pretty big deal when you're able to just walk in, invade, get free towers in the process, push them back, force them out of the position, and maintain an experience lead with level 7 about to be on the table as well. It's just gonna give you all those small little victories that should grant you level 10 first. But we do have another altar phase before that. Level 7 talent advantage shouldn't be an issue here.
Yeah, if they really commit to getting in level 7, they should have it by the time the principal elements of this play out. But the Sapper Camp does get picked up. Oh, FC Ignition with the burrow along with Special T going in, but they are a hair late to the party. Sapper Camp is going to get snatched away.
Yeah, but them showing their position down here does allow them to actually stall with Genji onto Malthael in the top left part of the altar. They are looking for the kill on Ishbu here, but the heals are sufficient. Tassadar is going to have to force that D shift, which is a long cooldown. Genji is still stalling, so McIntyre's just been dancing around stalling this altar, and now they can collapse on this point. Level 7 still not here, just an inch away. Kevin flanking from back.
Kevin comes in on the flank, finds the root forest trouble. FC Ignition burrows, 100 health or so, is able to get the shield from Tassar, get out of there. There's Hook on swabs and Goo. Do you have your dimensional? Oh, that's actually Malphite. So he uses his juke on the Wraith Strike, gets out of there. McIntyre says, not so fast, Sonny. Pulse Bomb goes in. Again, not enough to secure a takedown. Hold it down, looking pretty strong.
I just love the instant response from McIntyre there, because the moment he saw them invade that sapper camp, which they didn't even successfully steal, they actually just made the call to use Mac to stall out. This collapse was on Stitches, good heals from, BBJ to keep him alive, and they just rotate up and dominated. Look at the experience right now. A huge lead, and a lead when it comes to the actual points on the board from those altars.
You make a really good point. 32-28 is not the numbers that really tell the story of how this match is going. 7-9. It's a level lead and some change. Heroics are not out of the question for the next altar phase at all for Hold It Down. And Imported Support will find themselves in a pretty rough spot. But you called it, man. It just seems like Imported Support just love to go in on Ishbu, but they can't get the actual takedown. And then that just buys time for the burst from Archlon to lock in, and everything just goes their way.
All right, Dahaka is forced to rotate down, but the slowing sands being a big problem for Itoi. He's Ignition trying to get away, but Genji over the wall. McIntyre completing half that quest and finding another kill. I mean, right now, Hold It Down are just driving this game well in their favor.
Yeah, I just feel like Importer Support need to really prioritize how they want to approach these team fights, these skirmishes, and I think the answer is to not go for Stitches. They are really betting the farm and being able to take down that front line, and he is just too thick. They just cannot take him down, and then that's buying time for McIntyre to whittle people down. Now they have to worry about slowing Sands as well on their back line. Malfurion got hosed from that. They just have to better prioritize, I feel, Jake.
Yeah, they're going Gorge also here, which is, it's a little bit unexpected, but it's a great way to deal with Malthael when he does pop that Tormented Souls. So that's gonna be cool to watch and see how effective that is in these fights. Dragon Blade, with Ancestral Heal in their pocket, also could be very devastating to be on the receiving end.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a bootleg Divine Shield. You just reset Genji's health bar and you just
it's a less stable Divine Shield.
Right. He just goes in there. And without their heroics, Imported Support are in exactly no position to do anything about this altar. So that's going to be another 5 points getting taken off. They find Kevin, but he does have adaptation. He does pop that. That should pop in time, thanks to the burrow for sure. They're trying to body block. There's the Pulse Bomb, and that will be the first takedown for Imported Support.
Yeah, they needed that. They get some level 10. It puts them back in a comfortable position for this game. But already down 3 altars, 12 damage in total is not really the best case to be, and they've lost that bottom bell tower. So, structurally, they're behind. Map control, they're way behind, and they're still down over a level.
Yeah, they're not in a position to really capitalize on that, and also to consider Dahaka as a global hero, so he'll be able to burrow sooner rather than later if they try to make an advance somewhere else. The best thing they can do is try to neutralize and equalize the situation. They go for the Sapper camp. They should be able to pick up his bottom tower by the time next altar shows up. But Hold It Down are here, and they're trying to make sure that doesn't happen.
Good juke from Draded there. He was actually caught with the slowing sands, and he went back in to dodge the hook from Ishbu. So that could have been a Forest D shift, which is never ideal when you're trying to get in back onto a point like this. They've taken about almost half the health off that bottom bell tower, which is solid, but they do need to be careful not to lose anyone here because, even though it's your side of the map, that bell tower is an enemy structure, and it's favorable here, of course, for Hold It Down to try to defend that.
With Hold It Down just hanging here, protecting this bottom tower, they got so much value indirectly. That bought time for Dahaka to soak the level 13, so now Imported Support find themselves again in a situation where they are down a tier advantage and can't rightfully play for the map objective. This very well stands to be another 10 points off their core, unless they do something real cheeky.
Okay. 2 altars. Rhaegar has already got the bottom one for free. There's no interruption. That's 5 damage. Down to 15 health goes Imported. They're aware of this. They're just trying to take this fight. Plus, I'm going down to Ishbu. The heals are there. Dahaka's going to have to rotate. Here he comes, and the Ancestral is on point. The rest of this fight is looking very difficult, though, however, on the side of Imported.
Hook is just going to miss from Ishbu. Specialty low on health. BBJ Rhaegar actually does get kicked. He gets taken down. Itobi's low on health. McIntyre looking to arrange all of that.
Ooh,
Ishbu hits the E just the right time. Anubrak gets squashed. Stitches ultimately does go down. And without their 13 tier talent, Imported Support are holding their own.
All right, Arthlan can sit in that stasis for basically a lifetime, but when he comes out, that is going to be enough with the side storm. McIntyre does find the kill behind that. So far, really nicely done here, holding on to this fight. Is hold it down after losing that first member. McIntyre goes and gets Itobi, and they still have this bottom belt tower, so Swazugu has nowhere safe to rotate away from the rest of this fight, and Dahaka will start channeling 5 more damage that will not be interruptible.
McIntyre's riding around in that frowny face cloud, but I submit to you, Jake, he has to be feeling pretty good about that little progression. I mean, to Imported Support's credit, to go in there without their 13 talents and come away with any success at all has to be something of a confidence booster. Maybe they can look towards the late game and have some kind of dramatic turnaround. The odds of that do stand to be pretty slim when it's 32-7. But if anything, for the next game, they'll be ready. I think they needed that fight for a lot of reasons psychologically.
I would agree. And sure, they might have reclaimed their bottom belt tower, but you can see the middle wall is down. Dahaka has been pushing top uncontested a fair bit of this game, so the top lane is completely open as well. And that seems to be their next target. They're throwing in that vision with Chromie, and just popping out a few skill shots as they escort this minion wave in. A lot of free damage will be provided. Now, bottom lane is going to be 6 sappers marching towards that bell tower, so maybe Imported can even the structures out here, as they did just lose that top bell tower.
I like the idea here of Imported Support going for both of the sapper camps, potentially trying to push for that bottom tower. But I think they have not really prioritized looking at the top portion of the screen, Jake. Level 16 is right around the corner. I think this is one of their last real opportunities to get a full 5v5 fight when everyone has their heroics on even talent tiers. By not pressing the issue, they're going to be at a tier disadvantage again and really suffer.
Their lack of mobility is hurting them a lot too. Just the fact that they can't leave a single person in that bottom lane to try to get value with that, and beautifully done, getting a free kill, pulling Malthil behind the wall. Like, that's insult to injury, Haloran.
Yeah, it feels bad. We were talking about the psychological impact that Stitches brings to the table, and as Malthil waits to respawn, Exhibit A, Itobi surrounded by a field of red before getting rocked. That's going to be the 13th takedown. FC Ignition is able to burrow over the wall. McIntyre jumps back on the mount, looking to potentially go for more. But with 3 altars showing up, this is feeling like checkmate.
This is really kind of the impossible situation. You're down a bell tower. That doesn't really mean much. They're just going straight for the boss.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like checkmate. Now it feels like checkmate with an exclamation point. This boss is going to be uncontested. There's just no feasible way. If Imported Support somehow pulled this off, I'd be like, all right, guys, see you at BlizzCon, because I don't know. But that is going to be GG's.
GG. Really well played game 1 for Hold It Down. You know, everyone's shaking off those early morning jitters, especially the West Coast folk, but gotta say, they looked really, really good that game, especially when you're considering both teams are playing with Bloodlust main event, which is over $4,000 in prizing, happening 2 weeks from now. Just under that since it starts on a Friday. And here we go into Tomb of the Spider Queen. 1-0 lead for Hold It Down.
It's interesting. I mean, you have so many aspirations. This is Bloodlust. Oh, he is East Coast? Today I learned. For some reason, I thought he was on the West Coast. But anyway, one thing I really like about Bloodlust is that is, to me, the definition of pro-am. You get invitations for professional HTC teams, as well as teams that have to battle their way and earn their right to show up to the big dance in a couple of weeks. This is the closest insight we get to how a potential crucible could go, how teams in the amateur scene looking to cross over will fare at the highest levels of the region. And in that, like, you just can't afford to slack at all. So to be down a game already with your tournament lives on the line, pressure's on Imported Support right now.
Yeah. Well, it is. It is. And the semifinals will be best of 5, and there is no finals today, so it's just 2 semifinals after this series, because that's really where the money is. That's earning yourself in a spot in that 8-team Pro-Am bracket, as you mentioned. Those 8 teams, well, we know 4 of them. We can talk about the draft in a minute. The 4 teams that are already there, we've got Roll20, who just replaced B-Step, and then Tempo Storm. We've got Team Freedom and Gale Force Esports. 2 teams will be added now. 2 more teams will be decided later this week from HGC. But Stitches is that first pick once again, but this time in the hands of Imported.
Really speaks to his importance. I mean, Ishbu, I called him the indirect MVP of last game, but he also just flat out made plays as well with hooks
Yeah.
in the gorges. It kind of was the beginning of the end, being able to gorge, bring Malthael over a wall. It just left Imported Support without a leg to stand on over that last altar scrap. So I definitely get it. Imported Support is a strong Stitches player themselves. So take that option away, help yourself to it. Not a bad start.
Just an update in the bracket. Scorpion Raccoon didn't show up for their matches, and they were disqualified. So the new guys are actually waiting in the semifinal to face the winner of this series. Uther and Tassadar. Oh, my goodness.
Interesting. When I see a Tassadar, or even in most instances in Uther early in a draft, I'm like, all right, now, who are they looking to enable? Who are they looking to turn into a superhero? I immediately think of heroes like Illidan, things like that. But when you take both Uther and Tassadar in your 1-2, you got something spicy up your sleeve, to say the least.
Yeah, you're willing to concede pretty much the priority tanks in the game. So they're like, all right, well, you got Stitches. If you really want Dahaka and a Nubarak, you can grab them. Go for it. Go triple warrior, the 3 best warriors in the meta right now. But that's probably not the best idea. Will we see like a Nubarak and Genji, or excuse me, Genji's banned, a Nubarak and Greymane or something? Possibly. But it's too with the Spider Queen. You could go Johanna and be perfectly fine. Muradin is totally doable. So I love this Uther Tassadar a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it opens a lot of options. I was wondering if we would see the heavy Malfurion prioritization. I mean, there are 2 supports already snapped up for Hold It Down. You could almost guarantee a support would be banned in the second rotation by Hold It Down. So you're almost obligated, if you're on the side of Imported Support, to take your support of choice now. But you've enabled a lot of lockdown to the point where you may not even have to worry about Uther Tassadar's sustain. Imagine, Jake, Stitches hook in the Malfurion root, gravity lapse, Kael'thas is damaged on top of whatever else. Somebody's going to get sent home if all that connects.
Yeah, they're going to get sent home real fast because that's a lot of CC. And, you know, the Uther Task is going to try its very best to save that target, but it's not going to be an easy task. Angels are not allowed here, as Ariel and Malthael have been sent into their dark corner to think about their lives. What is the ban going to be here? What are you feeling? Let's ban another support. Clearly, they want more supports.
Yeah, you made it for a point. No hoods. Hoods were still last season for Hold It Down. I think Illidan would be a really strong consideration. Vala or Tracer as well. Whenever you see Tassar, you got to think of auto attack healers. Who are they looking to turn into a god amongst men? 20 seconds before Import Support have to take somebody off the board. And Nubarak is going to get hover. So what that says to me is Import Support's like, take what you want. We just want to make sure you don't have the lockdown for it.
Oh, you can see in a noob hover. The hover is not showing on my screen. That's interesting.
I see a noob.
There it is. Okay. The Nubarak out of the picture. So supports are in. In terms of DPS and warriors, we mentioned Johanna, but Dahaka's still on the table and he's a great option. The goal isn't as valuable, but it's still very good with the drag and the whole shebang there. I do personally really like the Johanna in this situation, though, with the amount of CC provided. Iron Skin could get insane levels of value. She's good for goaltending. She's good for being the piggy bank. I mean, she just seems like a very, very good option here.
I would agree with that. Conceptually, she does very well on this map for the reasons you just stated. But I'm wondering if that's a little too vanilla for the members of Hold It Down. They like to go for something weird. And I actually theorized Arthas could be a really strong selection because it forces Stitches to commit to a team fight. There's no mobility in Kael'thas and Malfurion. So once he sticks to someone, they're there for the duration. Diablo only further adds to that. Always see something interesting. There it is.
So this is probably going to be like a Vala carry or something as their 1 DPS with the Diablo and Arthas. I mean, it's a super hard to kill composition already. You're just looking for that harmonious assassin that's going to do well with the Tassadar, whether it's like a Kase or a Vala. We'll find out soon. Outside of imported support, they're looking just for more of that CC style. They will need another front line to go in there with the Stitches. They could do something like Greymane still. He's on the table. Just Curse Bullet for that snap damage after the hook.
And I think that could get a lot of value, especially if the gray main player exhibits some patience. Where it's like you see the shield go on someone's like, all right, it's going to pass away. It's going to go away in a couple seconds. All right, now you throw the 40% damage on these high health pool heroes, especially like Diablo has no sustain. We do see gray main and another frontliner in form of a warrior Leoric. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it seems about like the perfect way you could respond to what you've already seen in the draft. I mean, gray main's going to be super valuable versus the Diablo and Arthas. And again, as that follow-up to the hook. And then Leo, you know, he's your solo lane. He's a non-issue to think about. If he gets rotated on, he can get out of almost any situation with the Wraith Walk, especially if he goes for Hardened Bones. It's not like this is a high DPS composition they're up against. He's just going to be super valuable in that spot. And of course, Drain Hope, so good versus these other tanks. Diablo charges into him. He's like, okay. Arthas wants to stick on him. He's like, all right, I'm healing, bro. You're dying. This is great. And Vala is that last pick here to be that one range carry. Probably Arthlon at the helm, but we'll see. I'm not too sure who's going to be on what.
They have enough depth of talent that they can go a number of ways with that last selection. But yeah, you make a really good point. Leoric is the quintessential turning of the tables. Like, Arthas, Diablo, they dive in and like, haha, you can't get away. Arthas is going to slow you down. Leoric turns around and is like, actually, I'm not trying to go anywhere. I'll just put this in tune down, and then Kael'thas will roast you alive. We'll have a pretty good time.
I want a tea time Leoric skin where when he throws that Drain Hope on you, he just starts sipping tea because he's just loving it. He's just like, substance.
I'll take mine with 2 sugars if you don't mind.
Oh.
But this is it. Every decision that imported support makes here could potentially be their last for this tournament. So the pressure's definitely on them. I feel like Hold It Down came away with the composition that they wanted, so we should see them firing on all cylinders. So for me, Jake, all eyes are on imported support and how they respond.
Yeah, man. And I know a lot of people are tuning in live right now, maybe have the stream muted, maybe some people have HGC muted. But shout out to everyone that is joining us during this this day where HGC is in fact running. And for those of you that want to know what's happening, you know what? I'm going to avoid giving you spoilers, but like, there's a lot of spiciness in the air right now on both sides, both streams.
Over on the left, we do have the members of imported support, potentially their last game of the tournament. FZ Ignition's playing Stitches, Swabs Magoo's on Leoric, E-Toby subbing in on Malfurion, Draded is playing Greymane and Specialty. Rounded out on Kael'thas.
Their opponents, we have Hold It Down in the lead 1-0. BBJ, E. Kevin subbing in. Arthalon going to be here on the Vala. Ishbu climbing around on his little demon paws. And then of Diablo and McIntyre's going to be on that Arthas. Apologies if you guys hear consistent meows in the background. I'm doing my best to calm the kitties. But they are aggro. Looking at these talents, it will be Moonburn here going for some additional clear on the team. A little surprised by that, you know, but I guess, you know, it can't hurt.
I think there's some poetic symbolism in Arthalon stepping forward the B-step and immediately getting chain bombed and burned down to 75% health. That flamboyant nation could be paid for real in the form of a hook and a root call to the carpet and sent back to base. First takedown.
Yep, that's kind of what this competition is all about. If you get caught by that hook, you are probably going to get dizzy dumpstered. Just so much CC follow-up available. Kevin is just kind of going to be soloing versus the Leo for the time being, and that'll be fine overall. You see Ishbu, you see Ignition just kind of being this juicy morsel in front of him, and he eagerly wants to step out and go for that flip, but he knows it's a bait, so not falling for it here. And the rotation up to the top. Specialty should have the safe rotation away. Howling Blast does go out, but again, not enough.
Double root, Malfurion with the follow-up. Arthalon gets the hook once more. Does get patched up by Uther, though. McIntyre, the half health, could be a potential target. FC Ignition on the chase. McIntyre low. The Flame Strike is just going to miss. McIntyre cuts it close, but he's able to hearth back.
Arthalon's trying to dish out some of that damage in return onto the Leo, which is, you know, great for them just to be able to put some pressure on them. That just denies them their ability to be as aggressive as they might have been a moment prior. And again, we do have a bit of a pause here, so we're just going to hide the mini-map for a moment as we do have some intel. Arthalon, phone.
Oh.
This is esports, boys. You're not playing soccer and picking up the phone and being like, Mom, don't forget the Hot Pockets when you go to the grocery store. You're committed.
I think we need the Lily tea spray after that. It's just like, sorry guys, I had a phone call. Not too shabby. But back to business already. Special T rotates in the flank on mid. McIntyre shows up behind. There's a nice double root, looking to slow down Kael'Thas even more. The root for the isolation. Ishbu gets his shadow charge, goes in on Special T. Kael'Thas gets cooled off.
And Arth was able to put in a lot of damage there, forced Toby to retreat, tap that well. That opens up the window for them to try to drop off some gems. 34 gems in the pocket of Hold It Down, getting 5 in right there from McIntyre. Not a huge deposit per se. 21 have been dropped off on the side of Imported, which is pretty solid for them to be there. Nice hook onto Arth. The follow-up not available, so effectively just putting on some damage on the Arthlon, forcing out that heal from the Uther and denying some support that might have been available here for Ishbu. If that ends up being their opportunity to get a kill, that could have been huge for them, but not quite.
On the micro level, I feel like there's more Drade it could have done there. After that Malfurion root, might have been able to use the swipe in Worgen form to get just past Ishbu, and then potentially try to body block, get some more damage in. But maybe he was worried about being shadow charged in the tower range and then the rotation being there. But a nice hook. The root, Arthlon just gets around that, overpower into the shadow charge, isolates Toby. Malfurion, a year away from home, taken.
It's like they use this hook to force the situation, and then Ishbu just, you know, he finds that Malfurion that's a little bit too far forward after that whole hook, forces the fight towards him, and Toby just, again, got forced to the wrong side of the battlefield, which hurt him dearly. That's going to be 2 gems shy. BBJ is looking for that first turn in of the Web Weavers in this game. Will be able to get that, and we'll see how much damage Hold It Down can do here, because right now we're looking at just about dead even experience. It could be their chance to try to pull ahead.
Yeah, it's even talent tiers. Both teams have reasonable wave clear. Kael'Thas definitely is a hero to watch out for over this next progression. There's the root from McIntyre, Ishbu, Arthlon. They opt to not go in. Special T waiting in the wings. Toby's just behind as well. Looks like both teams prioritizing mid. There goes the root. Arthlon poking where he can before getting the chain bomb put on him. Arthlon's been getting heavily prioritized by import support. I think that's a big key to their success.
I mean, that's exactly what import support needs to do, which is fantastic for them to be able to consistently do that. Look at Arthlon's health, you know, forced to throw some shields in there. That'll give him the self-sustain. Does dodge the gravity labs, which is big because you never know if the threat of a hook could be following up from that. Mid wall, just about down there. They go. They got the next tower. So, you know, with these early Web Weavers, getting even 4 towers, I feel is, you know, fine. That's like pretty much the expected allotted amount versus in an even matchup.
Absolutely. I mean, the overpower FC Ignition is going to be isolated. I like the wait on the shadow charge to maximize the time to be within auto attack damage. That's the makings of a solid team that understands micro play. Special T on the flank with the gravity lapse harassing McIntyre, inspires a retreat, but Ishbu could potentially turn around and yank Dreaded over the wall or over, you know, the minion wave. That
No, you got to be careful. Like, it's a funny balance with like Diablo versus Stitches, because one team constantly has to be conscious of the hook, the other team has to constantly be conscious of the flip, and it really felt like he just forgot for half a second that if he gets flipped here, he can be body blocked. That's exactly what happened. That's going to be a few free gems turned in, and the experience lead is starting to grow, you know, slowly but surely for Hold It Down.
Yeah, and it feels like import support, either their decision making is starting to falter, or the decision is just to play this super passive, and I don't think that's really the right call. I think they need to try to take the fight to Hold It Down before heroics come online. They have Stitches. They can yank someone out of position and really get the party started on their terms. But right now, they're just kind of like minding their P's and Q's, like idly rotating between lanes. I think they need some action here, Jake.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, just looking at the builds, we do have Vengeful Roots, and it's only got 2 stacks so far. This is something that will, you know, grow in power the more roots you hit. We also have the Strangling Vines, which is going to be very good against the double support to try to nullify some of that effectiveness of Uther. However, this takes away healing, and half of Uther's value is in Guardian of the Ancient Kings, providing that armor. So I'm not sure how valuable that will end up being in the long run, but we'll see.
It's definitely a gamble of some sort. It's an investment towards the late game. And with the passive decisions being made by imported support, I don't know if they'll have that luxury. I mean, heroics are now here for Hold It Down. We could definitely see some interesting progressions there. And McIntyre on the flank gets the root on the Malfurion. Ishbu charges in. Full NBA jam on Kale Fast's face.
Come on and slay him! And BBJ is looking to find them another kill. The hammer does end up going down. Ishbu in position to flip if needed, but don't even need that as Arthlon just had free reign on that target. McIntyre providing so many free slows. That's going to be fort number 2 dropping down in just a moment. And you see the bottom lane. They're trying to push that up for the blue side. They're trying to get level 10 desperately, but Swabzagu needs to be careful because he is the, the accountant for this team, holding on to all their funds.
Absolutely. I mean, he's Scrooge McDuck, man. If he drops those coins, that could very well be the beginning of the end. McIntyre is going to get interrupted by Swabzagu. BBJ could look to press the issue with a stun, but Leorg is going to be able to stroll on out of there. Arthlon will net the second set of red web weavers for Hold It Down. This could be a pretty big push.
Yeah, it certainly could. You got 2 lanes that are already opened up. They're going to push out that last wave of minions in the top to try to even things up so the waves aren't staggered. That'll just make it harder to defend and guarantee more value on their side. I think they'll probably just end up going for the safe push on the bottom 4 just to make sure they're completely pushed out on the opponent's side, because they don't want to overextend too much due to the hook, but they are actually marching right in the middle. McIntyre looking for the flank.
Yeah, they're going for the jugular right now. There's the double root. Apocalypse goes in, gets a ton of value. Kale Fast is going to get taken down early in the stages of this team fight. FC Ignition trying to get out towards the bot lane is successful in his endeavor. Ishbu, Arthlon, McIntyre looking to apply pressure. Kevin, BDJ, all hands on deck in the mid lane. They could be looking for a sub 10-minute keep.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really tough defense. We've got the Web Weavers in the top lane uncontested as well. Leo has dealt with the bottom, but that early keep is looking likely. McIntyre has full zone on them, forcing Utopian Ignition away, allowing them to just open up and drop in the hammer. They still have Archon in their pocket if they so need it. And you do see the roots are good. We do hear the Curse Bullet crashing out. Nice for intervention, slowing them down, allowing for this retreat to be a little bit more effective. Swabzagu has the Entomb on BBJ.
Goes in, they try to get that. The Twilight Dream is not going to be enough to take down McIntyre. Diablo will fall, however, he had 100 souls, so he'll be back right after these messages. The stun goes in on Swabzagu, still has the piggy bank. McIntyre continues to add value to his team, gets a nice root on the members of important support who are surprisingly low on health bars. Arthlon identifies that, vaults forward, and sends Leoric out.
Took a decent number of his gems away there, too. Ignition is able to grab a fair number of them, but yeah, that definitely hurts. They lost a keep, and they are completely vulnerable in that top keep as well, which is the boss lane.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what's really tough about what we're seeing so far this game, Jake, is like we know that imported support are capable of making a stronger showing than what we're seeing here right now. I'm not sure if it's the timing. I'm not sure if it, anytime you have a sub, it's going to feel a little different just by virtue of having, this different element to your roster. But they are just not playing to a level I've seen them play even earlier is this week.
Yeah.
I mean, Leoric down in the bot lane, like, hey guys, I saved the bottom fort. Great. We just lost our middle keep. Like, just decisions like that, it's not like that.
I agree wholeheartedly. It doesn't feel like the same form. They can still turn this around, but they are definitely at a deficit here. Losing that keep that early, having the top keep exposed, and just now getting level 13 as their opponents are hitting level 15 is not where you want to be, but at least they have a small window where they're an even talent tier, and they can look to make something happen. You can't forget the power of a hook combo in late game situations because the death timers become that much more important. McIntyre seems to be the focus. The shield from Uther giving him so much survivability with the Arm of the Dead. Divine Shield will be used as well as he heals up quickly, and he's staying in the front, but the Tassadar shields come in before they can find that kill hook onto their target. They did not want putting Arthlon in the front. Uther clutching out that last possible heal to keep Mac alive, and somehow none of them died. Only Leo went down. Greymane seems to be there, the hunted target as Mac is looking for him. He's got to be careful here. That curse bullet's ready in 3 seconds.
Mac and boy is forever. Somehow he managed to survive. That heal from Uther was absolutely clutch. Shadow Charge goes in. Dread finds himself a long way from home. It's a full-on eternity Bible thump. Greymane gets taken down. There's the hook onto Kevin. Can import support make something happen off of this? They force out the dimensional shift. Uther is on the case, however. So out of everything, Jake, they lose Leoric and Greymane. McIntyre just ate all that damage.
He literally took damage from 5 players at once. I think he got hit by the root too, which means that he had the damage or the healing reduction on him. But the 50 armor from Uther, and then the Divine Shield with Army of the Dead behind that, and then the Clutch Heals test, like literally just insane sustain to keep him alive, and they did it. Barely, but they did it.
I mean, he ate the cursed bullet too for breakfast. Like he was just problem, guys. Like I'm just hanging out here living my life, having a pretty good time. Nicely done by the members of Hold It Down. They have a tier advantage and another set of Web Weavers barreling down these lanes. Middle keep was already taken down, so all hands are on deck to push down this top lane and set up a potential boss finish.
This is their 3rd consecutive Web Weaver, while 0 have been summoned from the side of Imported. So this is definitely a tough situation for them. You see the flip and the Shatter Charge. Specialty is taking a lot of damage, will die. Divine Shield was used to keep Diablo alive in the back, but look at how deep McIntyre is, forcing out that Twilight Drain, which is not going to be anywhere near enough, as McIntyre is just bodying everyone in his path. GG calls Imported support, and well played. The victory goes to Hold It Down.
That's just one of those situations where you have to look back at the replay to really understand the true depth of what you just witnessed. I mean, all we saw were blue health bars melting down and red health bars sustaining through everything Imported support were trying to throw over at Hold It Down. Impressive play from start to finish for the team in red. They advance